All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. This episode 533 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program. Great track by Joseph Arthur. Thank you is my mantra. Filmed on location, I think in Paris or Toulouse or something. I'm not sure, but great music video there. Joseph is an incredible artist. We feature his work. He's also very awake politically on many different levels, spiritually and otherwise. Really appreciate him giving his great music for us to share, his art to share with our audience here at 21stcenturywire.com. Fantastic segment with Jeffrey Brodsky. Again, the article's up at 21stcenturywire.com. Exclusive. Former Ukrainian commander-in-chief can be prosecuted for the role in the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. Whether you believe in the Ukrainian super soldier, crazy diver, Andromeda plot or not, the point is the fact that the mainstream's running with this and has been running it with it opens up illegal diplomatic international law can of worms for all the NATO member states and Ukraine as well. And it might even prompt Zelensky to do some palace intrigue as well. And who knows, revoke the diplomatic immunity of Zaluzhny, London, and his potential competition for, whatever the coming elections or the coup that might be planned to basically oust this little clown who's, let's face it, folks, the dwarf king in Kiev. The days are well and truly numbered. But again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We'll have Jeff on hopefully in the future to talk more about Nord Stream. It's a vast, hugely complex topic. I mean, Freddie Ponton spoke about some aspects of it on Wednesday during our midweek 21 Wire live broadcast. Again, first time we've done that program, so we'll be doing that hopefully weekly. We got a great midweek wire lined up this week. It's going to be amazing. I think we're going to have Freddie Ponton and Mats Nilsson on, and we're going to talk about the other pipeline that got blown up before. Oh, did you not know? Yes. And was the U.S. intelligence involved? Yes, they were. This is a piece of history that nobody knows about. So to call this a fluke, I'm afraid not. Let me bring up on stage some of the ACR alternate current radio team here. Bryan McClain, a.k.a. Hesher. I don't know, Hesher, have you managed to catch any of that Brodsky interview? I mean, this is a really deep topic. Obviously, we just scratched the surface. You can really nerd out on the Nord Stream. Trust me. I've spent many hours on it and discussing it with Freddie Ponton as well. Just give us your general thoughts, and we'll bring Ruckus up into the room as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I caught that. That was a great conversation. It just begs so many questions. It's like, well, what happens next? I mean, all this stuff has been found out between, Jeffrey's work and Freddie's work, Cy Hirsch. There's just so much information out there, and it's like, well, what's going to be done with it? Are we just going to carry on? I mean, it seems most likely to me that no matter how much journalism is done on this, the mainstream narrative shall remain. And I think that's the most frustrating part about it for me. It's like that narrative is broken. It's been, provedly broken. And I guess, as a society, as a world, we're supposed to just, pretend that we don't know that. That's what mainstream's going to do, clearly, is just continue to run cover. I thank you for outlining that tactic about how mainstream journalists will do that. They'll pack byline with, multiple people, tens of people in some cases. I mean, what a shady, low level yet brilliant tactic that the mainstream uses. And that's one of the things that keeps driving us back to the microphone is, can we wrestle these narratives away from these creatures that want to give us a false reality? So, that's the part I want some accountability for. Like, is all this, thousands of hours of work gonna just disappear into some, hole, while a false history is, what we're left with, or not? How do we, as citizen journalists, as viewers, as citizens, as people of Earth, like, what is the correct response to this sort of, narrative chicanery?
Well, there's just ask Elon Musk. Oh, I had to do it once. It's almost going to just be a tradition. I'm going to get a sound effect with this, by the way. I'm going to
Goodness.
run it as an animated stinger. So you guys wait for that.
When do we
Ruckus.
get a T-shirt, Patrick? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, you do. Well, design one for us, Ruckus. I'd love to put
I'm
it up
on
for
it.
sale
All right.
on a drop
Sorry.
ship. I mean, you are the media. I mean, it's got to be really dark and black-pilled, twisted sort of design with lots of irony, dripping with irony.
I have a few ideas. I've thought about this endlessly, about making designs and parody themed merchandise just around Elon Musk's "You Are the Media," and then of course you were pointing to the attention how now X is the #1 news source or some baloney like that. So that tells you everything right there. I mean, it's the new media is the same as the old media. It's just in a different place now, led by different people that look cooler, but happen to be richer and more influential. Imagine that. Neat. But yeah, how's it going, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, just on that point, I actually Elon did it again. But this is like we're living in the age of charlatans. Nobody cares. I mean, this is the richest guy, biggest platform. Doesn't care what he says. Just put it out there, and it's almost like he's making Alex Jones look like a diligent journalist. Like if you compare Elon Musk, he's making Alex Jones look like a Pulitzer, diligent, fact-checking journalist. That's how bad Elon Musk is.
Well, they want to give Elon Musk the Nobel Peace Prize now too. I don't know if you caught that wind of that.
For what? For
his free speech stance, because he's. I'm not kidding. I saw this somewhere.
Well, it's it is clownish, but actually, he's probably more deserving of it than Barack Obama was in 2009 when they gave it to him before he did anything as president. They said they gave it to encourage world peace. Of course, how did that go? Not too well. He started like 7 new wars during his 2 terms. Or Al Gore got one for basically for what? Raising the alarm about global warming. Right.
Well, I might remind the listeners, in case you didn't know, Alfred Nobel, before he started his Peace Prize thing, he was known as the Merchant of Death. So perhaps Elon Musk deserves this award after all because of his ties with the military-industrial complex. Just saying.
Maybe they'll give it to him for his role in extending the Ukrainian war by providing what he calls the communication backbone of the Azov battalions and all the Ukrainian nationalist forces on the front line, many of whom have ended up in body bags as a result of this war of attrition. He seems very proud of the fact that he provided the backbone of the Ukrainian front line, and he was very public about it. So maybe that deserves a Nobel Prize because what is his name? Alfred Nobel? What was the he'd be proud of Elon's work there, keeping the war going.
Maybe they'll give it to Donald Trump instead, since he ended the war within 24 hours of taking office, just like he promised. Oh, crap. I guess we're still waiting on that.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that. By the way, how's that going? I mean, it seems like everyone's evading that right now. The only person, this kills me to say this, by the way, and I will probably eat my words, because in politics, these people will get your hopes up one week and they will dash them the next. You've seen it happen so many times. You said, "Oh my gosh, that's what I wanted to hear," and the next week they're wanting to overthrow like the Chinese government or something, or threatening to send nukes into Indonesia or something. Marco Rubio was waxing on about a multipolar world and how we need to adjust and get used to a multipolar world, and that you can't have a unipolar hegemon like the United States running riot forever. I mean, this is Rubio, the Secretary of State. And I was like, am I listening to Alexander Dugin here or Marco Rubio? I couldn't work it out. But then I'm like, how long is this, he's enticing us into having a love affair with Rubio. But how long till that lover dashes your hopes and dreams next week by doing something insane? This is the problem with politics, guys. I really don't want to put my hope into anybody. We're so jaded and black-pilled after these years that I can't trust anybody. And I'm getting a lot of stick from MAGA and from Elon bots, and Tommy bots hate me. but they're saying, Pat, why don't you say something encouraging about, Elon or RFK? RFK was praising Operation Warp Speed this week. Did you guys see the Senate confirmation hearings?
Yeah, the RFK stuff was like, come on. I mean, he backpedaled so many things there. I mean, there was a lot of chagrin to enjoy with the Bernie and the rest of the crew up there sort of melting down over him. But when it came to his performance, I was not shocked at all to see him be say nice things about warp speed, to say, yeah, we'll potentially be cool with mRNA shots for bird flu, which indicates he's going to be totally cool with this Stargate project also. Talking about supporting the vax schedule for children. Are you kidding me? Like, you just took years and years, I don't even know how many man hours of work on that topic that was done at Children's Defense Network, and just completely scrapped it. Like, what the heck was that? If I was on the board at Children's Health Defense, I would just be, buzzing right now. We would be having a lot of meetings about how to try to repair the damage that, the former key player had in that whole, set of work. That's that body of work that exists at Children's Health Defense Network. What are you talking about? I mean, was it you do that much work on a project like that is that important, and then scrap it all so that you can get confirmed? I mean, this is really, I've been done with him since October 10th, but of 2023. But at this point, it's just like, come on, man. Like, how are people defending him at this point?
Good question, Hesher. And before I get Ruckus to weigh on that, I put a highlight reel together of Robert F. Kennedy, because he's taken a skit on this one. I can't think of anybody that could really outdo this guy. Basically, I recommend that the children follow the CDC vaccine schedule. How many vaccines are there on that schedule? Well, I kind of did a check, and in most states, it's something between 56 and 70 jabs before the age of 5 years old. 5. So this is a guy that campaigned against vaccines, was the champion against big pharma. As Hesher said, Children's Health Defense made it their mission, basically. And then all of a sudden, he's pro-vaccine. Listen to this.
Jerry, would you recommend that parents get vaccinated against
I recommend that children follow the CDC schedule. CDC schedule, get in there. But I'm fortunate to confirm.
Would you recommend that parents get their children vaccinated against the measles? Yes or no?
Against measles? Yes.
Guys, did I just hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Children's schedule, the thing that he has been railing against for years. And measles. He's the one who basically rubbished the whole thing about vaccinating against measles because it's not a deadly disease. And why do mass vaccinations for something that's not a pandemic? And so here he is, flip-flopped. Why has he done this?
I don't know. It certainly isn't about making America healthy again. I mean, it would be an interesting exercise to reread his books and some of his posts and broadcasts at Children's Health Defense Network. If they're still on the website, I'm wondering, might also be an interesting exercise to go and see what's been expunged from that website at this point. But to go through his books and look at some of the things that he's written and the evidence, that he's provided for why he's saying what he's saying, and go through it with a red highlighter and find all the parts that now don't match up with what he's saying up there in the confirmation hearing.
Ruckus, did he throw Children's Health Defense and mothers with children with autism under the bus?
It seems that way, especially. I mean, there were a lot of interesting exchanges between him and, say, Bernie Sanders. Are you supportive of these onesies? That's great. That's wild. That's so important. But it kind of is. I mean, it opened my eyes. I'm like, maybe what you were just saying there, Brian, is that what he said on Children's Health Defense. Well, I don't know how often he was actually writing or saying things on there, but he sanctions that website. He owns that website, but he's not necessarily involved with it 100%, you know, and knows what's going on all the time. You know what I mean? It's just like anything. So, but I mean, and then Elizabeth Warren, she was going hard and accusing him of wanting to shut down vaccines, and he was being defensive. He could have just, you know, stood his ground about a few things here and there. But yeah, people are curious about his actual motives. And then that guy, yeah, go ahead and play that one if you have a clip.
Well, this is a special one, basically. So the one thing that Children's Health Defense basically railed against more than anything was Operation Warp Speed. I think we can all agree this was, you know, the biggest thing that they were campaigning against. What an absolute travesty. I called it a crime against humanity. You know, millions and millions maimed, and some died as a result of the rollout of this experimental toxic shot, this gene jab. So, and here's RFK put on the spot, Senate hearings, and has a chance. Guys, it's not as if the vaccines are popular. I mean, come on. He had a chance. He had the platform here. He could have really sent terror down the spines of Big Pharma, but instead we got this.
I do have a question for you on Project Warp Speed. We supported the CARES Act. We had 97 people in the U.S. Senate vote for it. Everybody here. There's only one member of Congress that voted against it, I believe. And Project Warp Speed had CDC, FDA, NIH, and BARDA very much in the mix. Now, some people think that you're going to come in here and insert yourself into those agencies in a way that's never been done before. Let's say that they're a part of a future Project Warp Speed. Is it your intent to go in and do something that's never been done before, based on my staff's research, and insert yourself in a discussion that the scientists are dealing with in those different agencies?
No, Senator, what I want to do is, I'm not a scientist. I want to empower scientists. I want to make sure that science is unobstructed by vested or economic interests.
That's good.
I got that culture. And I'll just say about Operation Warp Speed, it was an extraordinary accomplishment, demonstration of leadership by President Trump. When he promoted Operation Warp Speed, he was looking at all of the different remedies, including vaccines,
therapeutics, everything.
Therapeutic, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, famotidine, even chlorine dioxide. And he was not looking at shutting down our country for the year, forcing people to wear masks for a year, forcing.
I can't take it anymore. Trump didn't exactly stop the lockdowns and the masks and all the mandates. I mean, he just kind of went with it, you know, like said, oh, well, you know, let's put Fauci and Deborah Birx up there. They'll take care of it. You know, got the generals over here, got the health experts over here. It's not my call. You know, that's what kind of Trump did. It was kind of a matador in 2020. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I loved how RFK pivoted quickly away from vaccines to therapeutics. Did you catch that? Straight.
And he said he's not a scientist. Remember the whole I'm not a biologist thing, and now we've got the I'm not a scientist thing.
I'm not a scientist, but he claims to be an expert on the lab leak theory. So he's not a scientist, but you should listen to him about what was the latest one he said, that Chinese and blacks don't need to get vaccinated because they have better immune systems than us. Or Ashkenazi Jews, he got in trouble for this, by the way. The Jewish lobby jumped all over him. He said Ashkenazi Jews or you know, have a gene that keeps them from getting COVID or something. I don't know what it was, but and he says there's a whole chain of Polish scientific peer-reviewed studies. He's all over the place, this guy. He's literally bouncing around like a ping pong ball. So I think he's a train wreck. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't get on the worshiping RFK Maha bandwagon. I can't do it, guys.
No, me neither, man. And like that guy said, what about another Project Warp Speed, basically? And the right answer to that question was, we're not doing another Project Warp Speed. That stuff is dangerous. Or maybe we could do one if the science is actually proper and transparent. None of this, computer model of a microscopic, nanomicroscopic particle that nobody can look at, that's been bombarded with, snot and poison and other stuff to try to pull something out of it in a PCR test so they can claim that there's some kind of pandemic happening when there isn't. So, that's the answer that should have been given to that. None of this, this is beyond mealy mouth, this pathetic response of like leaving the door open for Warp Speed 2.0, which, is exactly what we talked about when they announced Project Stargate. Is this Warp Speed 2.0? Heck yeah, it is. They're telling you it is. You've got people in the Senate and in the Congress, asking about, well, isn't Warp Speed 2 going to be great? You're not going to stand in the way of Warp Speed 2, are you? That would be awful. And it's like, who thinks this way? Who buys this? Even the most, mainstream of MAGA conservatives are not, like, as you mentioned, this stuff is not popular with them. They were very much against it while the whole time Biden was in office, pretty much, at least 2 years of it, maybe more if they were paying attention. And it's like, this seems to be one of the big things that just gets dropped off the accountability menu for Trump himself, now for RFK Jr., for the Trump administration. Make America healthy again. My goodness, are you kidding me? We're going to go back to concepts of 2020 and 2021 when everybody in the MAGA crowd knows what a grift that was, or at least potentially what a grift that was. I mean, and now we've got the White House coming out and confirming, I'm using my radio air quotes for those just listening, confirming that this was a Wuhan lab leak, which, we over here know is just another fake alternate story that has its own geopolitical benefits for those that are in power, those that want to perpetuate war and tyranny and authoritarianism. So, open goals just completely missed, and open goals for the MAGA crowd to hold their president responsible for this stuff, and his new picks responsible for potential new stuff. And that you just don't hear it. And as soon as we say it, we get the MAGA crowd mad at us. They want to throw their excuses around as to why we should forgive Donald Trump for this, why it's okay that RFK Jr. is saying these things. Oh, just the 4D chess. Well, we just need to get him confirmed, and then things will get in. And
yeah, that's what they're saying, Hesher.
Right?
Let him get in first. Patrick Henningsen, I follow you and I love your work, but why are you such a downer on RFK? Let him get in first. Listen, if you're caving during the confirmation hearings, you're going to do nothing in the bureaucracy. Newsflash: HHS is a career graveyard. Name me one previous HHS secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, put your answers in the chat box. I can't name one. It's a career graveyard. That's why they put RFK in there. This is how Washington works. I was trying to explain this to people, but they don't get it. So yeah, lab leak, basically this idea that RFK has been pushing and others, that there was a secret super virus leaked out of Wuhan, that basically bolsters the whole fake pandemic narrative, that there was this novel SARS-CoV-2 ravaging around the planet. And then, we kind of had to lock down and we kind of had to do all this stuff. And we sort of needed to do warp speed, even though the vaccines were a bit rushed. That's what lab leak does. And this fact the CIA are pushing it should be like the red flag of red flags, but everybody's saying, no, it's okay. They think it's legitimate because Mark Zuckerberg censored it for like 60 days in, March and April of 2020. And therefore that automatically means it's true. This is how stupid people are. I know people that say there was a virus. I'm saying, why? How do you know? Well, I had something, I had it and my girlfriend had it and it was really bad. It was really bad. I'm sure there was a virus and it wasn't like the flu. So no excess deaths. So if it was a real super virus, Why do they have to fake all their birth certificates and jack up the PCR to create fake data? Well, actually, they released it, but it wasn't as deadly as they hoped. So that it was released, a lab leak, but it was a weak one. And I'm like, I feel like Mary Lou Retton on the balance beam doing some gymnastics here, folks. Forget about it. I know, trying to explain this to people, especially MAGA people, they don't get it. The science, when you get into this twisted scientific arguments, that this is where people get lost. And if you can run propaganda through these biotech narratives, you can really bamboozle millions of people like overnight. And that's kind of what happened. I know we're treading over old ground here, folks, but I'll got to show you a real doozy in a moment. But any comments, Ruckus, on this?
Well, so you're not buying the Chinese lab leak theory. I got a better one. I got a better one for you. Any of the MAGA who are on the fence with that, they're like, now wait a minute. I tell you what, though, I have it on an unnamed source. I saw it on X, of course, that from citing somebody that they know who lives next to a CIA officer. They overheard this, of course, so it's news. But according to the CIA, apparently, allegedly, it was Hamas who released the COVID virus.
I heard that one
China
too.
was just a red herring, everybody.
Yeah, it was Hamas. Yeah, they hate us for our freedoms. They hate us for their way of life. You know the drill, guys. So here's a doozy. I'm sure you're going to appreciate this. So here's Robert F. Kennedy. I thought I'd bring this out from the archive. June 12th, 2024. It's not that long ago, is it? And what did he say? H5N8 bird flu vaccine shipping to EU. Up to 40 million doses of an untested vaccine designed for a disease that does not exist. Okay, that's the key words. Designed for a disease that does not exist. I actually believe, I agree with him wholeheartedly from his previous statement, but that was his previous statement, guys. And unfortunately, being the flexible, malleable, Gumby type character that RFK Jr. is, he has fully adjusted this position for the Senate hearings. So now he's saying, that she's pressing him here, Senator Murray. I think she's saying, what about a bird flu vaccine? Will you back that? Do you support something for the avian flu or whatever? Which is basically the next fake pandemic that these people are basically ginning up for another round. And Moderna has already parked. They've got their product parked already. The shareholders are just salivating over the idea of announcing a bird flu pandemic. I mean, there's literally hundreds of billions of dollars in free cash windfall ready to rock. Here's what RFK said, and bear in mind the previous statement. He said, a disease that doesn't exist. Well, here he is this week.
Will you support the development and distribution of vaccines for the avian flu? Yes or no?
Will I, for the avian flu? Yes.
This guy's too much. He's too much.
An old yes. What the heck is that? Not even a caveat. Could we at least have a caveat? Yes, but I want to see test results. Yes, but no emergency use authorization. Yes, but no requirements for travel or work or school. Like, where's our caveats for our 4D chess fans?
No, here's the key, guys. Watch the body language on this. I've been watching RFK. He is so disingenuous. He shrugged his shoulders. He's literally terrified. He's terrified of like his image, his sort of hero image or whatever he's cultivating. And you can see the body language. Whenever he's asked a question about vaccines, he goes tense. So he doesn't want to own it. So he's going halfway. He's doing the Washington swamp thing. Well, if you go halfway in the swamp, literally they will alter your DNA and you will become a swamp creature. It's like the Borg in Star Trek. And what I've seen with RFK, he's got a sniff of power. It's too seductive for him. The power, the money, the chicks, all of that. He is basically, I've got to get in there. I got to get a seat at the inner circle. He enjoyed the seat on Trump's jet. He's there at the Elon and Don Jr. in the Trump jet. He was loving that. So imagine with the security detail, all the rest of it. Watch the body language, though, again, guys, when he's asked the question. And he's basically waffling. It's like he's thinking about something to say that he doesn't actually believe. Listen, look at this again.
Will you support the development and distribution of vaccines for the avian flu? Yes or no?
Will I, for the avian flu? Yes.
So I'm not convinced. I honestly, I don't think he knew what he was going to say. And he just thought, wow, that's a safe out. And let's cave. Let's cave to my earlier positions, because he's been doing it on all the other points. Might as well just throw in, fold like a cheap Walmart deck chair, basically. Or Costco deck chair.
Maybe he's just lying like every politician, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we do have to wait for the 4D chess.
Yeah, there's no 4D chess coming on this
What's
one.
the alternative here? So if he doesn't get in, but I think he's yeah, I don't know. What happens then if they say, you know what, we reject this?
Then some other bureaucrat goes that you'll never hear of, because you don't know that nobody knows of any previous HHS secretary. He's like the first one that anybody has ever like known to be of any note to go into that position. So they'll find another bureaucrat. Maybe, I don't know, give Pete Buttigieg the job. You know, Pete Buttigieg. Give him, he was what, transport secretary before? I didn't hear anything other than things going wrong. You know, a few train cars derailed in Ohio. What else did Pete Buttigieg do? He really got hammered, didn't he?
Oh, he's got a list. Yeah, he's got a wake behind him of burned down chicken factories, crashed planes, crashed boats into bridges. I mean, it goes on. And now we're up to what, 5 plane crashes in the last 60 days, I think, or something like that. Something's it's not a good look.
Is there a popular like TV doctor who used to make the rounds on Fox News, or some health consultant? It would come from that crowd, I think.
Dr. Oz, perhaps?
Dr. Oz, Ben Carson. I could throw Ben in there. He was HUD secretary. I don't know what he did in 4 years at HUD. Nobody knows. You know, HUD is another one. I think Catherine Austin Fitz was HUD secretary, wasn't she? I'm not sure.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of her, but you know.
I know, Dr. Phil. He's got doctor in his name.
Dr. Phil, yeah. Or who else? Yeah, I suppose so. Dr. Phil. Yeah, why not? He's I think he's anti-Trump, though. He might be anti-MAGA. I'm not sure.
Dr. Drew. We could do Drew.
Yeah, Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew would be cool. Actually, I like Dr. Drew. He's kind of alt media. Okay, so here's the last one, because it's special. So, I mean, this is like the biggest lowlife, by the way. Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon, who is absolute swamp detritus. I mean, this guy is even more sappy than Mitch McConnell, if that's even possible. Okay, so he's going up against Ron Wyden. This would just be like, to me, 10-pin bowling, guys. So candlestick bowling. I mean, it's just, you go against these people. They're hated by America. Everybody knows that they've all got at least 10 scandals that they're dragging around. They're taking money from lobbyists left, right, and center. And so RFK could go in there and just start swinging, and the crowd would be like, yeah, that's our man, right? But he doesn't do that. He just caves. And this is the thing that's my big concern with this guy. But here, listen to this. This is about measles, polio, all these things that he's been rubbishing, these vaccines. Is he on board? I don't know. Let's see.
Would like to get my time back. The nominee wrote a book saying that people had been misled into believing that measles is a deadly disease. He's trying now to play down his role in Samoa. That's not what the parents say. That's not what Governor Green says. It's time to make sure that we blow the whistle on actually what your views are. At least we're starting.
We need to move on. I support the measles vaccine. I support the polio vaccine. I will do nothing as HHS secretary that makes it difficult or discourages people from taking
anybody who believes that would like to get my time back.
Wow, guys, I mean, that's kind of like the piece de la resistance, isn't it? I will do nothing as HHS secretary to impede the development, distribution, or popularity of vaccines. So what did he just do the last 5 years at children's self-defense. I mean, there's like 100 people working with children's self-defense. He just threw them all under the bus. And mothers with children with autism, all the different mothers groups, and he backed the childhood vaccine schedule as well. We didn't show that clip. I think we did, but I mean, how much damage can you do to your own credibility within your own base? Like those people that donated to your campaign, the people that put you on the stage, and then you get on the stage and you throw everybody under the bus. And the simps are saying, "Oh, give him a chance. You just got to get in the door, and then once he gets in, he can change it all. He'll be in charge of this and that, and he's going to prosecute Fauci and all this." I mean, the bullshit, the cope is just epic on this.
Yeah, they threw us one bone with RFK, right? It's red number 5 and fluoride in the water. Like,
Yeah.
the easiest things to avoid if you know to avoid them on your own. You don't even need the government. I mean, it's great. Thank you for getting the fluoride out of the water. Could we also talk about the plastics and some of this other stuff? Could we talk about Flint, Michigan? Could we talk about the people in North Carolina, the people in Lahaina? You know, there are places that really need some attention when it
Oh,
comes
sure,
to water.
Hesher, you can talk about all that, but don't talk about the childhood vaccine schedule.
Yeah,
But talk about all that.
Yeah.
Can talk about all that.
low-hanging fruit. It's like the MAGA crowd or dogs, you know, it's stroking the head of the dog here. Oh, we've heard you don't like fluoride finally. We heard you dum-dums actually woke up 20 years later to the grift of fluoride, the poison in our water. Well, okay, we'll get rid of that for you. Sure. Oh, you don't like red number 5? You want your Skittles to look more like the ingredients in I don't know, in the European Union than they do here. We can do that for you. We can do that, little MAGAs. We're going to make you healthy again. Now take your child to the vaccine center and make sure they have all 79 jabs by the time they're 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's like 150 more by the time they're 18.
Yeah.
And let's just add the repeated COVID and flu shots, as well as the new bird flu shot. And what else? Do you want RSV for adults? Yeah,
RSV cancer vaccine, maybe a specific cancer vaccine that Larry Ellison and his buddies whipped up for your health.
Stargate. Yeah. We'll predict what you're going to get, and we've got a vaccine for you. Don't worry. OpenAI is going to they're going to figure it out. The AI will figure it out. I'm so excited about this. This is Make America Healthy Again. More vaccines. Thank you, RFK. Thank you, Larry Ellison. Thank you, Donald Trump. Let's do another warp speed. Is there a speed faster than warp speed? Like, remember Battlestar Galactica, FTL, faster than light, FTL drive. Yeah, get an FTL drive online, faster than light.
We're going
Spaceballs.
plaid.
They went plaid. Yeah.
They went plaid. It's gonna be that should be the new pattern for children's health defense. A big plaid kind of. They just rebrand to a Scottish tartan. Basil Valentine, welcome to the program. Basil, are you excited about this golden era of vaccines that's coming in with Trump and Warp Speed 2, RFK, Larry Ellison? A lot of people are excited about this.
RFK and Tulsi's confirmations very much in the balance, both of them, particularly Tulsi. Senator Josh Hawley said very much 50-50. Not enough Americans have voiced their support for Tulsi. Now, we both know that she and RFK have come out as ardent Zionists and bent over backwards to mollify the Senate in particular. But what we're seeing is just how entrenched in their lies and malfeasance senators are. I mean, Tulsi was asked to condemn Edward Snowden and wasn't given the opportunity to answer the question. She started answering the question, and the senator started jumping all over her answer immediately. Any deviation from the Washington, D.C. groupthink is a no-no. So, for all that they've twisted and turned and appear to have abandoned some of their principles, nevertheless, they still might not get through.
Tulsi, Director of National Intelligence. I mean, I got my own sort of take on this. Some people know it if they've been watching my X feed. Hesher, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Tulsi, I mean, people know my thoughts too. I think she should have been put in charge of sunsetting the Department of Homeland Security. That would be something I trust her with. That would have been a great task for her. She'd be perfect for that. Yeah, but no, I'm the only person I may be less excited about is Marco Rubio. I cannot believe Marco Rubio is in the position that he's in. I mean, talk about a huge vulnerability. Talk about a huge gap in the stability of the American side of geopolitics. I mean, how is it that this is going on? And Tulsi, she's got a lot of fans, and her rebranding was pretty good. I'll give her a B+ on rebranding. I think I mentioned this last week. Zuckerberg gets a D+ on rebranding, and Elon gets an A+ on rebranding. But rebranded is rebranded, and if you're a business owner, rebranding means something different than if you're rebranding your politic as a politician. One needs to be very careful with that. And the only reason Tulsi's looks as good as it does is because she started her rebranding operation in 2022. She's had 2 years to walk back some of her statements, to have her podcast out there, to say the things, again, to stroke the head of the MAGA dog, to make it feel, like, okay, I'm going to be fed, I'm going to be watered, I'm going to get taken on walks. These are good masters. These are better than the previous master that used to kick me and not feed me.
Yeah, Ruckus, Tulsi Gabbard, yay or nay?
Well, what's with her look? She looks like something straight out of a comic book lately. She's got the hair streak thing and the matching outfit during her confirmation day. Yeah, look at that. I'm like, who is this person? Is this for that new movie?
Cruella DeVille? I think
yeah,
you're thinking of
100%.
Cruella DeVille, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sort of a darker, sort of more exotic Cruella.
But I don't trust her, and I've seen some rather unflattering close-up pictures of her lately. I don't want me to judge anybody, but I didn't realize she had a lot of she almost had like a Freddy Krueger kind of look in one of these pictures that I saw somewhere. I'm like, she just looks evil. And like, once these people get power, their countenance starts to change. We've noticed this during the pandemic when local tyrants and governors and mayors were enforcing getting magic powers with a little magic fairy wand by saying, well, it's a public health emergency, so I can do whatever I want now, respect my authority. And then they turn into these ghoulish looking creatures. She's starting to look a little ghoulish to me. I'm just saying. So I think she's in.
The all white. I mean, look at the outfit. She's showing up in all white. It's like, what was that name of that? We were talking about this the other week. It was Equilibrium or something with Christian Bale.
Yep.
I mean, it's just straight out of Equilibrium. Another one is like the second one. It's like the whole cast of that film.
They called them clerics in that movie.
Yeah, that was freaky, that film, actually.
Look, I sort of, I wouldn't go so far as to say idolized her, but I was very big on her 5-6 years ago.
Did you fancy her?
Pardon?
Did you fancy her?
Well, I think it's fair to say she's probably the most attractive woman on the American political stage of the prominent ones. Anyway,
right.
Competition isn't particularly stiff, but
it's not great.
And she comes across as very forthright and honest, and took principled positions on a lot of things. So while she has been a bit of a chameleon in the last couple of years, put it this way: anybody, if she gets rejected, anybody who comes in her stead is going to be worse. They are going to have to be more of a swamp creature to get through the confirmation process. Tulsi may be given some other sinecure elsewhere in the administration, possibly just join the kitchen cabinet. Who knows? She might disappear into obscurity or just become a TV pundit. But, in terms of, there's a term in economics, Pareto optimum, which means not the actual optimum outcome, because the actual optimum outcome is unattainable. The Pareto optimum is the best that's actually available. at this time.
Mm.
And the fact that she's having such a struggle to get through this process because of her views on Snowden and FISA Section 702, which are the main sticking points, you know, let's hope that she does succeed, because you could say, oh, it's just more or less sort of two evilisms and all the rest of it. But, you know, she would put the cat amongst the pigeons a bit. And these dreadful hawks and national security state assets that populate Washington have had it all their own way for a long, long time. You can say she's just another one, but she is of a different hue.
Yep. And this message has been endorsed by the Trump campaign. Thank you very much, Basil Valentine, for that. No, so what I think is, this is my controversial position. She's flipped. She was like with Bernie Sanders. She was like booted from the DNC for defending Bernie, a far leftist communist, basically, crazy old professor from Vermont. So she is the Richard Wolff of the U.S. Senate. And so she's done that. Then she flips. Then she goes kind of out of the Democratic Party, goes and attacks Kamala Harris. I love that. Everyone loved that. She was like the titular leader of the U.S. anti-war movement for a period of time, hanging out with Dennis Kucinich. I loved all that. Okay. Then she gets a job at Fox News. So first she comes on as a pundit regularly. Then she gets a gig, a paid gig at Fox News. And then October 7th happens. And then things change. Then she goes to the wall for Israel. And, we got to do something about these Muslims. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting twist. So I think she's actually potentially the most dangerous of swamp creatures. And I'm going to play you this clip, and I will explain to you, there's a method to why I'm thinking this. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. So, and this will just give you a little taste of this. But here, listen to this. This is what she said. And by the way, I agree in principle with everything pretty much that she has said. Everything except for a few things. But generally, she said all the right things. But there's something missing.
To my husband, Abraham, my family, friends, fellow veterans, Medal of Honor recipients, and patriots, thank you for your love and support. I'm honored and grateful to President Trump for his trust and confidence in nominating me to serve our country as the Director of National Intelligence at a time when trust in the intelligence community, unfortunately, is at an all-time low. Chuck Schumer admitted a few years ago, quote, "You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you." For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. The most obvious example of one of these failures is our invasion of Iraq based upon a total fabrication or complete failure of intelligence. This disastrous decision led to the deaths of tens of thousands of American soldiers, millions of people in the Middle East, mass migration, destabilization, and undermining of the security and stability of our European allies, the rise of ISIS, strengthening of Al-Qaeda and other Islamist jihadist groups, and strengthening Iran. Here are just a few other examples. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once, but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation, specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable.
Okay, just a taste. Now, follow me, guys, on this. She was asked point blank, is Ed Snowden a traitor? And she did not give a straight answer back, because she was afraid of maybe she believes that the answer is no, but she felt the pressure from these low-life senators who everybody hates and she didn't own it. She said, well, what he exposed was illegal wiretapping and Americans' rights were being trampled on, etc. And then they pressed her again, and she repeated. She didn't say yes or no. I would have just said, I mean, she's probably even said he's not a traitor in the past. But this is like, why don't these people own it? And the problem is, if you don't own it, DC will change you. You don't go into DC changing DC from the inside. The DC is going to change you unless you go in there with a baseball bat and like a battering ram and start, swinging and taking names. That's the only way you change DC. So I mean, and Trump is in his own way, it does that. Doesn't always do. I don't agree with all of the swings that he's doing, but at least he's doing that. That's how you change stuff. Tulsi, RFK Jr., 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and she talks about bad intelligence. Okay, where is the bad intelligence coming from? The bad intelligence is coming from our quote allies, Israel with Iraq WMDs, yellow cake uranium, the British, the Steele dossier. All of that stuff, the basis for the Pfizer warrants she's talking about, all tracks back to our allies. And so she's not even addressing that. And Israel, she's totally not addressing that. So I think my theory is, guys, that she's been groomed for this position as DNI to basically launder Israeli intelligence because of that. Oh, I found this one. That's Tulsi with Miriam Adelson and Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. So that's arguably very early in her career, 2016. They recognized her talent, and I call Shmuley Boteach kosher superglue, because once he sticks to you, you can never get rid of this guy. I mean, he's just something. So the fact the Israeli lobby have been after her, like they are with everybody, by the way, especially her. Basil said, good looking, great speaker, forthright, solid. This is exactly, so the lobby will be able to send intelligence into the CIA, and then it comes through the DNI and then to the president. Her job is the gatekeeper between all of the agencies and the president. She curates the intelligence and gives it a threat assessment, validity assessment. So we now know that she is basically beholden to a large degree to Israel, because she's not mentioning them, but yet she's with them.
But having said that,
ahead,
her opening statement there was criticizing the Iraq war, saying that was based on faulty intelligence. Well,
from Israel.
Exactly. So that'll put her in their crosshairs to some extent. It's one of the holy cows. Who cares if tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis were killed? Tony Blair went on to justify the Iraq war, saying, well, even though there were no weapons of mass destruction, it was still a good thing to get rid of Saddam Hussein. And that's the neocon position to this day. The fact that they were proven liars is neither here nor there. No heads have ever rolled or anything like that. So I think it's actually quite courageous to bring that up, because it was Trump's position in 2016.
It's a no-brainer, though.
With the American public, and it's an anti-neocon position.
There's nothing new there, though. Like, it hasn't, like, I mean, it's a great. Everyone's talked about WMDs and Carter Page, and so she didn't mention George Papadopoulos, by the way. I was very disappointed in that. But so the thing, Basil, is it's like nothing new there. What will be new was, and that country that dumped $230 million into the Trump campaign, that country, and who is implicated in spy rings in the United States by our own FBI, that country.
Well, that's not going to happen. We both know that's not going to happen in the
But
short
that's
to
what
medium
needs
term.
to happen. Otherwise, we could have a
Right.
war with Iran, and Tulsi would be the one to deliver that war with Iran. That's my fear. And America would buy
That's
it.
an understandable fear.
Just like RFK delivers warp speed, and all of the dissenters would trust him. Just like all of the anti-war people would trust Tulsi and Trump. That's the way I'm very, like, I don't know. I'm skeptical of this Israeli thing lingering in the background. That's
Well,
just me.
always.
But I know you guys you have some similar reservations, but jump in, anybody.
Well, this seems to be the trend, right? This is what we've been referring to for some time now, since Elon bought X and allowed Alex Jones to come back, and Kanye came and did his whole shtick. Like, it's okay to talk about all these things now. It's fine. The Overton window has been nudged, shoved, and it's fine if you want to talk about lab leaks. It's fine if you want to talk about WMDs. It's fine if you want to talk about anthrax, JFK, RFK, MLK. These are all fine. We can do that now, guys. Isn't that wonderful? We even 9/11. Am I allowed to say 9/11, 9/11, 9/11? Can I do that on YouTube now? Because
You're the media. You are the media.
I'm the media, so I can say this, right? Like, oh, look at me. I can say the things I've been saying for the last 20 years, and all of a sudden, people on Capitol Hill can say them too. And it's like, we've got all these recently red-pilled people coming in the wake of, Trump era 1,
COVID
/ Trump era 2, / Twitter 1.0 turning into X. So, we're the free speech capital of the world, guys. You can say all of this stuff, but guess what? Now the media is self-policing on the right, just like it was for the left. You've got people in your own party or people that have been fellow travelers who now want to cancel you for not just, following rank and file and indulging in the Q style copium and the Q style 4D chess. Like, that's all fine now. So yeah, it's again, stroking the head of the dog here. It's great to see some of these things said openly on social media by big accounts or on Capitol Hill by someone who's billed as Make America Great Again. But it's late. It's really late. Why are we focusing on that when we've got things that just happened? And credit to her for, bringing out the Russiagate thing. But again, Russiagate again, late, really late. And if you were talking about it when it was timely, you were censored. So I think, this is part of the rebranding of everything is that self-policing aspect within the MAGA and within social media feedback loops that are just going to shut people down, consider them less than serious if they're not just stuck on those approved talking points now. And it's a very different environment that we're in, and it's exciting sometimes because you see things said that you've known for a long time, and it's like, yes, finally. But where's the second piece? Where's the third piece? Where's the piece that applies to yesterday, today, and tomorrow? Like, when does that get mentioned?
Can it get mentioned when it's actually happening, or do we have to always wait 3 years before it's okay? Like before the Overton window, before it's in the Rogan Overton window, which is just about 18 months off to the right there. Ruckus, put a purple sheen on this black pill, please. Some people might not want to swallow the pure black.
Well, I mean, it feels a lot like you're between a rock and a hard place. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because you guys pointed out, if it's not these people, it's going to be somebody else. I mean, so none of this is helping, unfortunately. It is a clear sign of where we're headed. And, if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. So I wish these people at least would, stick to their guns. I mean, even if they're not going to get confirmed, but showing us that, for whatever reason, whether they're like, well, this is an admission that we lied to you in the past, or this is an admission that we're willing to lie now in order to further whatever agenda it may be, whether or not the agenda is something that might be good for us in the end. Why do we have to keep doing the lying part? Like, can't we all just move forward to past all the lies and propaganda? But no, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Thank God for X and the free speech, and that's where I'll be hanging out, playing the new role of the new media. Yay!
That's right, Ruckus. That's right. I'm waiting for that shirt. I'm waiting for that T-shirt there. Give it a big corporate leap there on the stage. Give it a good IPO, memcoin leak. Let's talk about memcoins. Oh my God, don't even know where to start there with Trump. Basil, your thoughts on this? Are we way off base here And why not just get rid of the DNI and the DHS and the Department of Education? And why not just slash all of those departments full stop? Is that going to happen?
Well, who knows? Musk hasn't really got his hands on the Doge yet, has he? The Department of Government Efficiency. The one I'd like to see disappear above all would be the so-called Department of Homeland Security. I remember Gore Vidal, the late Gore Vidal, being particularly outraged at the notion of this homeland. The whole idea, the concept behind it was fundamentally un-American, he said. And of course, it was created in the wake of 9/11, itself the biggest false flag event of the 21st century by a long way. So it's always been particularly sinister, if you ask me, because it was set up, by the Patriot Act, which had been prepared in advance of 9/11. We can't expect Tulsi to start unpicking all that kind of thing. But Josh Hawley did at least say the day before yesterday that the wiretapping on Americans, the surveillance of Americans, should end. So, two of you are in the States. I mean, I don't really. I think if they want to tap somebody, they'll do it anyway, regardless of what the law says or what they're supposed to do. But I mean, I'm still hopeful that aspects of this administration will be an improvement on the last, because it couldn't really be any worse. Having said that, a lot will be revealed in the next couple of days with Netanyahu's trip to Washington. Worth noting that he's flown through the airspace of 3 ICC member states, also European Union nations, without any problem. And really, as a fugitive, they should have refused permission for his plane to overfly. In fact, he's carrying on around the world as if that had never happened, frankly. And of course, in the US, they're looking to sanction the ICC for daring to indict him for war crimes. So, many aspects of Washington polity are heading in the wrong direction. You mentioned one dreadful senator earlier. I'd like to add the name Tom Cotton. I mean, my God, what an abysmal human being. He wants to he wants to delete the designation of the West Bank and refer to them instead by the names Judea and Samaria, which of course are the terms used by the settlers and many in the Israeli government who want to annex the West Bank. So we're in a period of particularly intense flux and change, shall we say. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in the States, Hesher and Rucker. There seems to have been a lot more noticing going on. People are noticing the influence of Israel on American politics, I think, more than ever before. Of course, we've had Trump's executive order to start deporting students who protest against genocide. This is really off the charts, abysmal stuff. And Ron DeSantis has said in Florida that he will expel Americans from Florida if they dare to support Palestinian resistance or are too vociferous in their opposition to genocide. But this doesn't play very well with aspects of the MAGA base. We saw Tucker Carlson talking to Piers Morgan in another sort of extraordinary interview where Tucker, for all that he said he liked Israel, he'd been there on holiday with his kids, had the temerity to say that killing women and children was morally a bad thing. And Piers Morgan tried to defend it. I mean, we're in completely uncharted territory here in the first few months of 2025 on multiple fronts.
Yeah, people are definitely noticing it. It's become a much wider topic. They're going to have a hard time containing that. I mean, look at the links they went to with TikTok just to contain some of the more visceral imagery and analysis, and now like you go to X or even Zuckerberg's platform, not so much Facebook, but on Instagram, a lot of people there talking about it in ways that you would not have seen just a couple of years ago. So I'm definitely noticing a renewed interest in the topic. People are looking at things that they probably thought they would never be looking into, looking at math, looking at numbers, looking at history, and going, wait a minute, some of this doesn't make sense. And, so that's a good thing, having a wider interest in the history and the geopolitical tapestry, and, all the atrocities that we're seeing. We've got one of our regulars, our friend Whitebird in the Discord right now, just said, I wonder what Israel's going to do with 1,800 JDAMs, 2,000-pound bombs. Like, it was like the EOs, the good, the bad, and the fugly here. It's like, okay, we're going to stop foreign aid for 90 days. This is probably a good thing. But then 2 days later, it's like, well, most foreign aid, but we're going to send these, almost 2,000 bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, JDAMs, to Israel. Where are they going to drop them? Why do they need so many right now? Like, where are the people asking these questions?
Oh,
Those
they're
are
going to be
defensive
making
weapons, I thought.
Yeah, that's correct, Ruckus.
And of course, to go further than noticing, I mean, it was only 5 or 6 years ago, I'm sure you remember, Patrick, I came across the late, great Michael Collins Piper's book, Final Judgment on the JFK Assassination, which was the first major work to draw attention to the Israeli connection. And now we are seeing it mentioned on Tucker Carlson's podcast. The fact that JFK wanted to stop Israel's nuclear program, which was stolen from the United States, register AIPAC as a foreign agent, and arguably most importantly, impose a permanent settlement, permanent immutable borders on Israel. That was also on his agenda. So using their mob contacts, of course, mafia, people talk about mafia, they automatically assume that you're talking about Italian organized crime. But the mob, Murder Inc., headed by Meyer Lansky in the 1960s, was also a largely Jewish organization. Lansky played a pivotal role. It's all there in black and white. Now you can learn about it from Tucker Carlson, of all people. This is really breaching a levee. Now, we're a long way away from the point where, it's in the corporate media, or there are politicians standing up and saying, hey, what about the fact that it looks like JFK was murdered by Mossad? We're miles and miles away from that. But we're also a long way away from where we were 5 or 10 years ago in terms of public awareness of that issue in particular.
Yeah, they got LBJ. There was the audio that's released. Roger Stone, I remember saw him tweet that out, and so that implicates somebody who mentioned LBJ put a hit out on JFK. I mean, that in itself is a piece of evidence. It's not definitive, but of course, the Israeli story, Meyer Lansky, the mob using cutouts. This is just normal, but. Just on the subject, you read my mind there, Hesher, and this is a really good post here by Pelham, resist_05, awesome account. I'm not sure who she is, but she's always killing it on Twitter. She said, this is a tongue-in-cheek, by the way, guys. Okay, so she said, if Trump was really controlled by Israel, then he would sign an executive order to take sanctions off illegal settlers so they can continue to steal Palestinian homes and land. If Trump was really controlled by Israel, he would sign an executive order to end foreign aid, but exempt Israel. He would stop the funding of the WHO so UNRWA could not feed displaced Palestinians. Interesting. He would sign an executive order to allow aid to Egypt and Jordan so that they could take in Gaza refugees, aka ethnic cleansing. He would withdraw from the Paris Agreement so he could steal 500 billion in oil and gas fields off of Gaza. That's debatable anyway. Or he would ban TikTok until they change their algorithms to censor pro-Palestinian content. He would sign an executive order to deport any non-citizen that protests against Israel. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it kind of illustrates the point of this kind of double standard. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, because he's done all those things. The Egypt situation in particular is very interesting. Some people have been saying there's an Egyptian military buildup in the Sinai and that the Egyptians are preparing for war. Certainly, Trump is planning on using the fact that Egypt is the recipient of hundreds of millions of dollars of aid to try and pressure them into taking Gazan refugees in large numbers, something they said they refused to do. I mean, that's the reason why, most people say, why the Egyptians and the Jordanians have been so quiet, so pathetic in the face of the genocide, basically because they're bribed. Simple as that. They're bribed to shut up. Well, Trump is now saying we want something more from our bribes than just your silence and complicity in the genocide. We want you to go along with the ethnic cleansing. Worth noting, of course, that the corporate media uses terms like relocation and evacuation rather than ethnic cleansing, which is what it is.
Yes, there's a lot of this stuff is crazy. I mean, he's really pushing people into Egypt and Jordan. He came out, got it on the hot mic or whatever on the airplane on the audio, and then he kind of gets to the desk the following day, reiterates it, and basically saying, "Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a pile of rubble. It's in really bad shape there. You know, really bad, really bad, really bad. Got to move them to a safe place. You know, kind of like Donald. How did it get to be rubble? By the way, like that is the kind of conversation. That's the one I want to hear. But no. Oh, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's no.
Well, I think Steve Witkoff, his envoy, who brokered the ceasefire, I think he was really.
When did it? Before he became an envoy, what was he? Trump's accountant? Like, what is he?
Something like that. Good question. You know, good question. He obviously doesn't have a smartphone because he was totally shocked at the state of Gaza when he went there. He said it's not safe to walk. There's unexploded ordnance everywhere. There's hardly a building standing. You know, one can only hope that degree of shock will take it back to Washington. And, you know, well, we know that Trump has picked the most Zionist foreign policy squad in history, but perhaps there are some in his inner circle who may be shocked by what he's seen. You know, they're still not allowing journalists in there. Still not allowing Western journalists in.
And why are they not allowing Western journalists in Gaza? Because they don't want the world to see more about what's going on. They don't want to hear more eyewitness accounts. They don't want the journalists going up to like children and mothers and talking to doctors. They don't want.
That's right.
That's why there's a ban on journalists there. And if there's more Western journalists in Gaza, Israel's got to be careful what they bomb. That's another thing.
Yes.
So it's strategic on the part. It's very cynical on the part of Israel, but it's like, anyway, I share your optimism on that, Basil. I think it's good that Trump's envoy got a little look in on the real situation, because Tony Blinken sure as hell didn't.
No, exactly. Yeah,
he's a real estate guy too. I think the Witkoff guy.
Yeah, they're all real estate guys, and Trump's everyone's in property. He's a property. So I got a couple properties on Atlantic City, Ocean City Beach, Jersey Shore.
I thought I'd heard some audio somewhere of Trump talking at some point about, referring to land in Gaza as a beautiful beachfront property.
Yeah, he said
wow.
That. Kushner as well.
Kushner's the one to watch out for.
Yeah.
He'll be pushing to get his hands on it.
With Saudi money. Saudi money. Saudis put a good chunk into his private equity fund. And so that was the Abraham Accords. It was a property deal.
Witkoff is a billionaire real estate investor and developer and an attorney.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure they have their eyes. I mean, it's a lovely beach, beautiful ocean. Just have to get rid of the Palestinians, right, guys? I mean,
That's
that's all.
right. Just get rid of those pesky locals.
If we can solve that problem. So they want to gentrify Gaza and turn it into, it's got great potential. It's got, could put casinos there. You know, he's thinking, you know, he's creative like
A
that.
golf course, perhaps?
Golf. Oh, yeah, of course. Maybe a Trump Tower at Gaza, you know, Mar-a-Lago by the Med,
Oh,
you know,
God.
club, maybe.
Gonna be tough to park your super yacht on the on next to the debris pier, right? They're gonna have to make a real pier, I suppose, so the super yachts can come park.
Yeah, unexploded ordinances as well. You know, yeah, you're going to need the EOD teams on standby just in case. So it can be great. It's great. We're going to have sappers in there. It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. Really good. Really great.
Well, Trump wants to move away from the Middle East. He doesn't want it to dominate his presidency. That's the word out of Washington. Rubio's gone to the Caribbean and Panama for his first tour, and insiders are saying, well, that's indicative of the fact that Trump wants to focus on the Western Hemisphere, on stopping immigration, because he wants to try and steal the Panama Canal. I don't know. That's not going down very well in Panama itself. They've been protesting against that. And of course, his ludicrous idea of getting hold of Greenland, you know, I mean, this is really off the charts stuff. But he wants the whole Middle East thing settled. He really wants Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords. But for the time being, at least, they're saying no deal without a Palestinian state, or at least, well, this much promised pathway, the pathway to a Palestinian state, which of course means nothing, just means the long grass again.
It's more like the pathway to Persia, if you ask me. I mean, this Syria thing has also gone from bad to worse. I don't know what the latest was, but there's like sectarian executions and reprisals. And Israel set up their first base in Syrian territory this week, so they're doing good progress. So they'll have annexed the Golan Heights, all of it, before too long.
The moderates are cool with that, huh? No problems there with Israel coming in and setting up military shop. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, geez.
That's real normalization. Come on in, you know.
Yeah.
Do you like that chunk of land there? You can have it. We don't care. We don't care. And you can turf everybody off that lives there as well. Build settlements. It's okay. Put a military base. Open an embassy in Damascus.
And there are new settlements happening right now, right? People being kicked out of their homes, intimidated, terrorized, and settlements forming in multiple places, right?
Yeah, in the West Bank, basically the zoo's been emptied and the settlers are out on the street. And that's the plan, is to push them into Jordan and push the others in Gaza into the Sinai Desert. And that's a perfectly plausible solution for the Israelis now. So that's what you're up against. With Trump is kind of backing all that. I don't really think he's got a full appreciation of the situation, nor does he really care. But I'm hoping that he might find a little bit of compassion, a little bit of insight, something, maybe a Damascene conversion like Saul of Tarsus, the road to Damascus. Could have happened to Trump, maybe, somehow. Might not be the road to Damascus, might be the road to Newark or something like that. But, you know.
Well, years ago, of course, when he was first running back in 2014 or something, he said he would be even-handed in negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. And of course, that brought howls of anger and opprobrium from the lobby. You know, well, how dare you say you're going to be even-handed? You're supposed to be on our side. And since then, he's fallen into line, hasn't he? He took Sheldon Adelson's money, and now Sheldon's widow, Miriam.
That's right. He got summoned by Sheldon after he made that statement in 2015. That was in late November, early December 2015, early in the election cycle.
That's
and
right.
He made that statement. Everyone was like, "Wow, this guy is amazing."
Yeah.
He is afraid of the lobby, and then all of a sudden, Sheldon gave him the call from Vegas. Donald, come to the
Don't. It's tragic. I mean,
come for a steak dinner in the the Sands or whatever his casino was, or I don't know, but
Mm.
and the rest is history. They
And
haven't
the
let
rest
go.
is history. Yes. Yes.
Here's an interesting thought. Isn't the whole idea that we provide so much money and weaponry to Israel is basically, they say it out loud half the time too. They'll say, well, so that they can fight against, Iran and all those people for us. Because if we don't do that, Iran is going to attack us, right? That's the general rule of thumb here, the idea, or some country like that full of these jihadist terrorist types, right? So, but how much do you want to bet that if we actually pulled all of our foreign troops out of all of those foreign lands and kept them at home just to protect us, and then we withdrew all the funding to Israel, which one is going to attack us first, Iran or Israel?
Well, what kind of attack? False flag, maybe?
Well, we've never seen anything like that happen before, Patrick. I don't know
Never.
what you're talking about.
No, never.
Presidential assassination, perhaps, in the dance card there on that one.
That's never happened in America. You guys are such conspiracy theorists, honestly. Like, what sort of channels do you guys watch getting all these crazy ideas? You sound like
We learned by watching RFK Jr.
holdovers from like 2008.
I haven't watched anything but Trump signing EOs for the past 12 days, I think.
Yeah, what is it with his signature too? I can't work out what is that thing? It looks like a sort of EKG reading or something.
I was saying on one of the streams, it looks like a death metal logo, like it could be like the new Napalm Death logo or something like that.
Flatline,
Yeah.
So it's like,
I saw one of his fans who were happy with all of the executive orders saying, like, we could get these done faster, sir, if you just sign your name quicker.
yeah, just do an X. There you go. Oh, who would name their kid after an app? He did that, didn't he? He fucking did that.
Only a technocrat.
He did that. And the kid's going to regret it, by the way, when he gets to be an adult. I've seen how this plays out in Hollywood, by the way, and it's not pretty. And they get into their 20s, Oh, and it's public that the dad does drugs. That's not good. Every time that goes bad in Hollywood, the kids of stars can never live up to their dad's level. Dad did drugs, so I'm going to do drugs. It's just like the vicious cycle.
It's got to be such a strange childhood. We were doing a breakdown of this on Boiler Room a couple months ago, and we were looking at articles talking about how Elon has I don't know where he's at in this process or how real it is, but it was saying that Elon is trying to buy an entire neighborhood somewhere here in Texas so that he can put all three of his, or four or five, I don't know how many, baby mamas he's got, but he wants to have them all basically, like he wants to have his own suburb, like, a big bazillionaire suburb where all his various children and baby mamas can reside. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy. He's got like 11 kids, I think. And we also did a breakdown of his kid's name because it's like X.264B. And his that's the one that he had with one of the ones he had with Grimes, the pop artist.
Yeah.
And it was just the most bizarre thing to go through and see like why they named the kid that, what it's supposed to mean, like the way he wants to set up his family life. I mean, talk about someone disconnected from real American life. That's the guy.
Oh, real conservative values, Hesher. I mean, really. I mean, you can conservative American relate to that. It's it's really. It's like, yeah, they made them. So what? They have a baby farm, but they made a movie in the 70s called The Boys from Brazil. That's what that was about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mangala had his birthing farm in Brazil. The Boys from Brazil. And back to the Nazis again. There I go. I just slipped into that just without even thinking. I didn't mean to do that, but hey, guys, I've got a couple of minutes left. So yeah, listen, we'll go around the horn, and want to comment on any stories this week. There's been some crazy things. The DC plane crash, that's a wild one, but don't want to really get into the weeds on that. But I'm happy to hear comments on that from anybody. But we'll go around the horn. I'll finish with Basil because I know he's probably got some gambling related something to corrupt our audience with towards the end. But Hesher, go ahead.
Yeah. No big final rounds for me here. I'm keeping an eye on the aviation disasters, various aviation disasters, and yeah, you're right. It's a rabbit hole. I don't even want to really scratch the surface on that one, other than say stay tuned, because more things like this are clearly going to be happening. So a lot of fun stuff and grim stuff to analyze here with you guys. Really appreciate you having me, Patrick. Great show. Big shout out to Jeffrey. That was great. And check us out in the boiler room. We'll be having one Thursday, if not sooner, right here at alternatecurrentradio.com. And all the latest are up there in the archive on the website. Follow us on Rumble. We're Boiler Room on Rumble. We're Alternate Current Radio on YouTube. I'm at Hesher Media on X and IG. So follow us out there and throw some support our way. If you've been thinking about it, now's a great time to do it. 21 Wire has their winter fundraising campaign going right now. Alternate Current Radio needs help too. So we really appreciate that. And have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Looking forward to the next show over here with Sunday Wire.
Yeah, the Boiler Room, ladies and gentlemen, you can check that out. Just go to alternatecurrentradio.com. That's obviously the main hub for ACR, and you'll see broadcast times. We've also tagged Hesher here at Hesher Media. That's on X if you're on this platform where you're watching it live. But to follow the Boiler Room, follow Hesher. Ruckus, final words, any thoughts on any of the stories that we've covered or didn't cover?
Yeah, there are a lot of emerging breaking news stories, mostly from, winged things falling from the sky and exploding and making people wonder, was that really a plane? Is that a missile? As if you folks are experts in either of those departments. So you might want to just sit down and wait till everything is settled. They weren't even done pulling bodies out before we had wild conspiracy theories about the DC copter crash. So yeah, you got to wait. Sometimes it's never good to immediately start speculating, especially at the cost of your, I don't know. It doesn't look good sometimes, especially if you're incorrect. Now, I've been paying attention to the big story this week before the crashes was the DeepSeek thing. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but I thought that was very, very unique and important, especially right on the heels of what we were discussing about the Operation Stargate thing or Project Stargate. I get confused, but we're just going to say, here's a gajillion, million, bazillion, and an endless supply of money for AI. And then China said, hold my beer. Here's a free, cheaper version of ChatGPT. And it just absolutely broke everything. It broke the markets. It broke the tech stocks. It broke crypto. Everything went down, down, down. And now people are like rethinking everything. So it just goes to show you that sometimes these big tech bros are just blowing smoke up your what. So we got to be careful. It's very interesting. But I will probably be covering some of that on my show, of course, which you can find at alternatecurrentradio.com. I do have a new episode available of the Daily Ruckus, part of my series there. What's it called? 12 Days of Ruckus. But this is where you guys go to find all of that. Okay. So thanks for having me, Patrick. Nice to see you, Basil. And that was a great interview you had earlier. So I'm going to have to re-listen to that one because there was moments where I should have been taking notes and I did not. So I will have to play that back.
Yeah. The Daily Ruckus, ladies and gentlemen, great podcast. Ruckus, again, up on alternatecurrentradio.com. And do visit that website. If you're on our show page at 21st Century Wire, there's a link to ACR right at the top of the page. And I will say on that DeepSeek story, Ruckus, very interesting you bring that up. That is a huge thing. And, of course, the reaction from Trump is, well, we're going to have to throw up a firewall, a great wall of, American AI, got to throw up a firewall. So he's going to block it, basically. It's an executive order. Illegal to get involved or touch any Chinese AI research. So that's how we solve it. Let's throw up some walls. We're $37 trillion in debt. Let's just start throwing up walls. That'll work. Yeah, that's a good solution. So, so basically what he's saying is we can't compete with China. We can't compete with China, so we're going to have to build our own Great Wall. Thank you, Donald. I like it. It's so creative. I don't think it's going to work, though. I don't think technology doesn't really work like that, does it?
Well,
Generally,
hopefully not. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I must admit, I had a quiet chuckle. $2 trillion wiped off the tech sector with a stroke of
yeah,
a pen. And what's more, they developed their thing for basically a pocket full of change compared to the billions spent by American tech firms. They did it for next to nothing. So, even if Trump builds a wall, the cat's out of the bag to some extent. The emperor has no clothes. And surely it's only a matter of time before somebody this side of the Great Wall of China comes up with another low-cost version that's even better. I mean, I think people have jumped the gun a bit with these tech stocks, haven't they?
yeah. Like Nvidia itself is like worth more than like the entire GDP of like a Europe or something crazy. I don't know, something stupid like that. But that big chunk of value got wiped off there when the Chinese put up their little $6 million side hustle. It's like, I loved it though, because it just like, it deflated Sam Altman, who to me is like the biggest overrated, overinflated CEO character. Like I can't, he's so creepy as well. Like, and when he talks, it makes Mark Zuckerberg seem like a pretty cool guy. Like I'm more on the Spicoli camp now after hearing Sam Altman, who is really kind of creepy, to be honest. And he's talking about, well, in the future, I don't know exactly when, but you're going to have to like, AI is going to make sure you behave. And he was just talking about all this stuff about your behaviors and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I'll go surfing with Spicoli and just hang out on Facebook, forget the AI. Okay, we'll go back to Facebook. Wow, Facebook's not censoring. That's kind of like a renaissance. You know what I mean? It's just like interesting one, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
If AI is the new COVID, then the what just happened there was Nvidia is like the big pharma, and then the DeepSeek was like the ivermectin. So they're going to shut it down.
I like that. I like DeepSeek as the ivermectin of AI. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's the sort of great concepts and metaphors that we are generating real time with our own AI by putting our four brains together here, generating t-shirt designs and other things. So yeah, we got to work on that, Ruckus. We really need to upgrade this. I got to get a sound effect to it. And maybe, yeah, some really cool merch will be really good. Basil, your final thoughts before we say sayonara this week at Sunday Wire. Go ahead.
Well, very quickly, the UK here, Starmer's popularity continues to plummet. He's far and away the most unpopular prime minister at this stage of a parliament since polling records began. And to add to his woes, his own chief of staff described him as an HR manager. Other people have described him as a national security state administrator. He's certainly not a leader. Turns out he'd been going for voice lessons to try and sound more authoritative. But in a new book, one of his
Really?
key personnel, Morgan McSweeney, said he was an HR manager. So Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, has had to come out and say, "Oh no, 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 he's absolutely brilliant," but everybody can see through him, to the extent that even though Labour has one of the biggest majorities in Parliament of the last 100 years, they are as big as 7-4 to be the largest party after the next election. Basically, it's a 3-horse race. Reform are as short as 2-1, with some firms to be the largest party after the next election. That's far and away the shortest price for any third party, again, since polling or betting on such matters began. And worth noting that the BBC, certainly in the personage of Laura Kuenssberg, have been talking up Farage more than ever, as if there's something inevitable, believe it or not, about a Farage prime ministership.
I can kind of see it happening, to be honest, but that's going to need a coalition, isn't it, to get in there? It's going to have to be what? Tory reform, power sharing agreement?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah. But Starmer's got a big hurdle first because an MP is due in court on assault charges, and there's going to be a by-election. And, really in these by-elections, he stands, I think, more likely to lose to a genuine left-wing populist, someone from the Workers' Party of Great Britain or an independent. There's still talk of another new left party being launched by Jeremy Corbyn and his allies. Hasn't happened yet, based on the 5 independent MPs who were elected in July, and who, incidentally, Corbyn highlighted, have written to the Foreign Office, to the minister, saying, why is, what's going on with these spy flights on behalf of Israel, and hasn't had any answers yet to his letter. So, Britain's complicity in the genocide is there for all to see.
What would be a good name for this new party that Corbyn's forming? They're a genius, by the way, to put independents together and form a party. How about what's left? What's left?
I think they could do with some. Yeah, I don't know if there's room with our political system for 2 genuinely left-wing parties, Workers' Party and Corbyn's party. I think they'd have to do some kind of deal if they're going to win any seats. And of course, both of them, because, going back to the original reason why Corbyn was politically assassinated, they both are supporters of Palestinian human rights. So any genuine left party is automatically smeared as anti-Semitic, as well as everything else,
Or you could just go back to the basics, rebrand to the MLUK, Marxist-Leninist UK party.
Well, the Living Marxism, I didn't realize, was a supposedly Marxist magazine that disappeared about 20 years ago, when a lot of magazines.
Yeah.
Pardon?
LM, Noam Chomsky used to publish in there.
And it turned into Spiked, believe it or not.
Was that Spike? No.
Yes.
Spike was from Scallywag.
Living Marxism became Spiked.
Really?
Yes.
I thought Spike came from Scallywag.
No, and Living Marxism was, believe it or not, the a publication of the Workers' Revolutionary Party, the Revolutionary Communist Party, sorry, the RCP.
Spiked is right wing, it's conservative.
Exactly. That's the kind of somersault that people have done. It's now identified as right libertarian, with some non-specialist sources identifying it as left libertarian. Okay. Well, there you go. But what's his name? Brendan O'Neill has been penning endless garbage about the genocide. Really, really abhorrent stuff.
Yeah, not to be confused with the other O'Neill and LBC. He's all right? That guy, he's been doing.
Yes, although of course, he was all in favor of amplifying the anti-Semitism smears 5 years ago. So
5 years ago, yeah. So he swapped.
Likewise, Owen Jones, who's now emerged as the hero of Palestine, of course.
Yeah. Suddenly, those guys are really good at reading the room, watching the crowd, and then pivoting really quick to make sure they're not left out in the lurch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Always a good skill set for a politician. Be able to pivot in midstream, even if you're betraying everything that you've said and look like a complete hypocrite and a shill. It's a good skill set in politics and mainstream media. You have to admit, it always comes in handy, doesn't it?
On both sides of the Atlantic.
Sure does. Well, I really enjoyed that Senate hearing critique, guys. I thought that was fun. So yeah, we'll see what happens this week. We got a few more doozies. There'll be some votes. We'll have a clear picture of what this cabinet might look like, a little better anyway, this week. So there's a lot to unpack there. So I'm looking forward to that. But thank you, Bryan McClain, aka Hesher, Adam Clark, otherwise known as Ruckus, and Mr. Basil Valentine, joining us on the Sunday Wire Overdrive segment.
Touch wood, we will be back with the Pulse today, formerly Today's News Talk. Been saying this for a little while, but at some point in the next couple of weeks or so, we will be back on air.
Okay, that's exciting news. Good to hear. That's good to hear. Well, we wish the best of luck, the team at the Pulse. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to shape up as well. All right, you guys, have a good one, and check out Hesher on the Boiler Room. Basil will be floating around as well. Hopefully I'll see all you guys next week here on the live broadcast. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. This has been an epic Sunday Wire here on the Alternate Current Radio Network, and a special thanks to Jeffrey Brodsky, independent journalist, writer, for this fantastic exclusive piece here up at 21st Century Wire right now. And that's former Ukrainian commander-in-chief can be prosecuted for role in Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. It's actually a devastating strategic political article. If you think about it, it's really thrown a spanner into the works to the NATO states. Do they really have any judicial system law, or are they going to stand by these stories and plots that they themselves are making, like the Ukrainian soldier diver Andromeda yacht story? I mean, that's the big question. So we'll see for sure. But what we're going to do now is probably say goodbye. Thank you very much again for joining us here. And also a reminder, if you haven't yet already, go to 21stcenturywire.com. You can also see this on my X feed as well. Our Winter Fund Drive is happening right now for 21st Century Wire. If you like the programming that we're doing on Sunday, plus the Midweek Wire, which we just launched, we had a great piece with Freddie Ponton. We'll have another great episode coming up probably on Wednesday. We'll be live on X, Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, as well as Facebook Live. That's going to be an interesting one. That's coming this week. And we need your help to basically expand our operation. We have a great team of a combination of volunteers, part-time people, plus myself as well as editor of 21st Century Wire. But we really need to fund our operation for the next 12 months, and we need your donations and your support to do that. Anything that you can help us with, we greatly appreciate, and we'll go to absolutely into the operation. So you can be sure of that. And also our written investigative work, which we've featured this week and the previous week as well. We've got more of that on the offering. Also consider subscribing and becoming a member at 21wire.tv. That's 21wire.tv. That's also on the donate support page. That option's there. Very inexpensive, monthly. Listen, I know you guys are out there. I know you like what we do, and we really need your support going forward and on a regular basis. So please consider helping us. This will help us launch into the new year. And we have a whole bunch of things in addition to what we've launched, new stuff as well, more new stuff coming. So really appreciate any of you who've found it in your hearts and in your ways and means to support us here. And that's all we have time for this week. Take care, you guys. It's been absolutely amazing. And also do check out we're going to actually have a couple of very interesting stories coming out during the week. So keep an eye on 21stcenturywire.com. But that's all we have time for. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host, signing out. All the best.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man, another man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power no matter what. Playing with a doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to good. People as commodity, cheer on worn atrocity. No accountability, perpetual impunity. Always have an enemy to hell with all humanity. In power, no matter what, playing with the doomsday clock. Turn on blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to dust. Stay in power, cash in the stars. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn on blind eye and join the cause. Pushing us to turn to dust. An empire of lies. History rhymes will turn to dust. Digital inmates scored on every move. Nowhere to hide, nothing to hold on to. Return to dust. As we turn to dust. As we turn to dust.
How many children have to die? There are no sides when their mothers cry, and no real way to justify their death that comes from an evil sky. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. Damaged life, a nuclear bomb. Dresden in a kill box. People can't escape. They're told to leave, but where can they go? A genocide, some think it's biblical faith. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. Cause this might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? Cause this might be the last time to raise raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? Digital images and digital lives cut out their heart along with their supply. The propaganda leads to dehumanize our fellow humans and silence their cries. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. Without equality, there will always be war. We have all the history to see how it's happened before. Travel as equals, equality for all, or else mankind will surely fall. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. In Gaza somehow. Cause this might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? This might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are?
Supervised contact. They watch our every move. They examine our togetherness like we've got something to prove. Oh, I've looked behind your eyes. I've seen the sadness you hide. I've looked into your eyes. I've seen the tears that you've cried. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. In the legal arena, ups said theaters are staged. She moves in circles. Her cruel games cause delays. From the questions you ask me, like why can't you come home tonight? From the moment you hold me, it's the shortest hour of my life. No, I won't get used to these chains. I wanna tell you what I'm feeling. I wanna tell you what I know. Someday the truth will know. I wanna tell you what I'm feeling. I wanna tell you what I know. Someday the truth will flow. Restricted freedoms. They say I've got to be careful with what I say. Their conspiracy of silence. They think the truth will lead you astray. They say that they're here for you, but they never listen to what you say. They've built walls between us. I will walk through walls to break these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains.